Hello students, civil services aspirants. In our series of discussion of previous year questions from GS paper 1 on Indian society, we have come with a new question, that is question number 18, that came in 2023 and which was to be written. It was a 15 marks question and it was to be written in 250 words, right? As you can see this photograph, what you find, there is a stark contrast between the living conditions of the people. On the one hand, people are enjoying the luxuries of life. They are living in a very well planned areas, whereas people like this they are living in informal settlements, slums like condition, deprived of many of the basics of life. Now based on this, there was a question: does urbanization lead to more segregation and or marginalization of the poor in Indian metropolises? Right? Outrightly, the answer is yes. To a great extent, there is a great marginalization of poor people living in the urban area. Now what happens? Why people migrate to urban center, the metropolitan center? There are various reasons for that, right? Urban area is center of economic growth, urban area is center of economic growth, and therefore it provides employment opportunity to people. Another reason for urbanization of Indian society is that rural area consists of surplus population. That means there is no more employment opportunity in the rural area, and that's why people migrate to urban centers. This is also educational centers. There are a number of quality educational centers in the urban area, that also leads to people's migration to urban center. We have research center that will come within the educational center. We have good health or quality health services. We have entertainment industries, like Mumbai is very famous for film. We have commercial centers, we have trading centers. So overall, urban area is a center of intense economic, educational activity, right? And this attracts people because it provides opportunity of employment. It has different avenues of employment, and that's why people migrate. Now what you see, okay, so a new batch of sociology is going to start from 8th June, right, 2026, right? It is available online, offline, both. I'll be the faculty, that is me, Praveen, Kishore would be the faculty, right? So those who are willing to join, they can join it. The details are in the link below, right? Now what you find, that urban centers, they attract both middle class as well as lower class. Now here there is a basic difference in the approach of middle class and the approach of lower class. Middle class people migrate to urban center out of their aspirations. They want to improve their standard of living. They want to get freedom in their personal life, etc., etc. They are well paid, they are educated people. But if you take the lower class, their main goal is subsistence. In the rural area, they do not have appropriate opportunity for the income that is necessary for the survival of the people, right? So due to that, they migrate to urban centers. So it is mainly subsistence is the reason for lower class migration. So both people from middle class, people from lower class, they migrate to urban area, but their intention is different. Middle class people migrate due to their higher aspirations. They want to increase their living standard, right? Lower class people, out of necessity for basics, for survival, they migrate to urban centers. Now, you will find what are the reason of marginalization of poor in the urban area, right? If I have to say single most important reason of marginalization of poor people, then I will say the cost of land and housing in urban areas, right? But we'll come to that. What we find, one of the reason for marginalization of poor people is that urban planning is centralized around addressing the need of upper and middle class. There is a spelling mistake here. It should be centralized. Means it is mainly, the planning is mainly for upper and middle class. Lower class people are the least concerned in the urban planning. That is generally in the developing societies, and even in case of India it happens, and that's why you will find that people live in a very pathetic condition. Lower class people, aesthetics gets priority, beauty is the priority, and this is definitely for those people. If you see what is the difference between middle class and lower class, middle class, they are interested in quality of life because basics are not their concern, whereas lower class, they are concerned about life itself. They work for survival. Their economic status is one of subsistence. But in urban area, because it is centralized, it is focused around the need of upper and middle class. So what happens? Aesthetics gets priority. What do you find? Gated community and high-rise apartments for middle class. Definitely they can afford, right, these houses, and therefore these develop a lot. But when you talk about the rural area, the poor people, then what you find? They cannot afford house in the planned area. In fact, they cannot afford a good house even in the informal area. So basically what happens, poor people, they settle on government law land informally without legal entitlements in slum like situation, right? So this is one of the most important reason, right? High cost of real estate pushes them away from central area, increasing commuting and time and expenses. So what happens? In the central area, the cost of land is very high, and therefore people from lower class, they cannot afford to live in this area, and they are pushed far away from their workplace. Now definitely, if they are staying far away from the workplace, naturally the cost of transportation, right, and the time taken in the commuting would be quite high. So in this way also they are marginalized. Now gentrification leads to gentrification. What is gentrification? Whenever in an urban area, what happens? As I said, poor people settle in the informal settlements, government land, right? Now what happens with time? The value of that land increases, right? And when the value of land increases, then the real estate enterprises, they try to exploit it for their personal gain, right? As a result, what happens? Eviction of slum dwellers takes place, right? Frequently you will be coming across the news that the municipal authority, they evicted the slum dwellers from a particular area, and later on you will find that on those land, real estate companies, they have constructed high-rise apartments, right? So this also what happens? They suffer frequent eviction, right? So what you find here, there is clear class segregation as far as the housing is concerned, residence is concerned. And you see here again, we have a photograph. On the one hand, we have slum-like dwelling. On the other hand, we have people who have all the modern facility, right? There are other reasons of marginalization of the poor people also. Like we said, poor people are mostly employed in informal sector. Poor people are employed mainly in informal sector. And when you say informal sector, means not regulated properly by the government rules. The wages are below the government fixed price, right? There is job insecurity, there is no social security cover. So what we see, informal sector, without job security, without social security cover, they are paid below minimum wages, they have to work for long hours, and they don't get any leave for even medical need, right? So here, whenever they fall sick, they have to go to the hospital, they forfeit that day income. And if they remain sick for a longer time, then it becomes very problematic for them. Second is quality education and healthcare function in private sector. If you see in urban center, most of the educational center, the quality education, it is imparted in the private sector by the private people. A number of universities have emerged, private universities. Healthcare, hospitals, there are very good hospitals in urban area. They provide 5-star facility to their patients. They have very good doctors, right? So private sector provides quality education and healthcare. But since it is in private sector, it turns out to be very costly. It turns out to be very costly. And because of the cost, prohibiting cost, it is affordable only to middle class. It is affordable only to middle class. Lower class people cannot afford these services. Lower class people cannot afford these services. Now, naturally, if they are not able to afford quality education and quality health care, naturally, it is they remain deprived of their future anticipation. Poor have to depend on government institutions and hospitals which lack infrastructure, or you can say poor infrastructure, and their management is also very poor, right? Because of the security of a government job, the people who work here, their level of accountability is relatively less. So here they don't get the proper education. Large number of working class members are seasonal migrants. They lack in documentation, right? Since they lack in residential proof, that's why they are out of many of the government welfare schemes. They suffer from political apathy because they do not have their name in the voter list, and therefore they are not of interest for the politicians of that area. So what happened? They suffer from political apathy, right? As they are not included in voter lists due to lack of documents, and even they prefer for their native place, because ultimately, like middle class, they don't have any intention to permanently settle in the urban area, right? At least intention is not there. So because of that also they suffer from political apathy. So all these leads to marginalization of the poor. Right? So what do we find? The cost of land, the low income of the working class, the poor government educational and health facilities, right? Lack of documentation and therefore exclusion from the government welfare schemes, right? All these leads to marginalization of the poor in the urban areas, especially in metropolis. Thank you.